this lesson here is going to give you some extra help on finding your target heart rate and maximum heart rate. It's going to help you find the zones that you should be in when working out and the importance of being in those zones. So pay attention, make sure you stick with each equation. If you feel like you're getting lost, hang in there. I promise it will all come together. First, we need to know how to find our heart rate in general, okay? So right now what we're going to do is find our resting heart rate, or it's also known as your heart rate reserve. Okay, so resting heart rate, RHR. What you're going to do, the picture shows here, you take your two fingers. Make sure you use your two fingers, not your thumb, because your thumb actually has a pulse in it, so you won't get accurate information. So two fingers, you can either do it on your wrist, find your heartbeat there, or you can take it up underneath your jawline, up on your neck, and find it there. Now you're going to need a watch or a clock of some sort, because what you're going to do is you're going to count your heartbeats for 15 seconds. When you get that number, you multiply it by 4. That gives you your heartbeat per minute. Okay, so that's BPM is what it stands for, is beat per minute. That's the number we need to find. That is our resting heart rate. Okay, so find that. Now we know the technique for finding our heart rate. Now we're going to find our maximum heart rate, our target heart rate, and so forth. Okay, so to find your target heart rate, first you need to know your age. You should know that. And then the resting heart rate, that number that you just found out, that 15 seconds, and then you times it by 4, right? That number you had. So that is the resting heart rate, which is beats per minute. Here are the formulas that we need to find our target heart rate. First, you take 220 and you minus your age. Very simple. Take 220 minus your current age. This gives you your maximum heart rate, or your MHR. Good. Now that you found your maximum heart rate, we're going to take your maximum heart rate, the answer you just got, and you minus your resting heart rate. So the very first number that you found, when you found your heart rate the very first time, you calculated how many beats you found in 15 seconds and times it by 4. So that resting heart rate, the very first number, you take your maximum heart rate minus your resting heart rate, and that gives us our heart rate reserve. Go ahead and find that. Now that you found your heart rate reserve, you take that number, you take your heart rate reserve, and you multiply it by 0.5. Now this 0.5 represents 50%, and we'll discuss that just in a minute, why that's important. So you take your heart rate reserve, you times it by 0.5. Once you get that number, you add it to your resting heart rate. That was the very first number that we got when we did it for 15 seconds, multiply it by 4. Okay? Heart rate reserve times by 0.5 plus your resting heart rate. This gives you your target heart rate. That's the number we're looking for, our target heart rate. This may look complicated, but we're going to work through an example. We're going to talk about it a little bit more to help you understand how this all goes together. Look here at our step 1. Okay, so let's say you're a 16-year-old. So this 16-year-old has a resting heart rate of 70 beats. So what they did is they calculated how many times their heart beated in 15 seconds and multiplied by 4. They got the resting heart rate, which is 70, which is beats per minute. To find your maximum heart rate, what they did is they took 220 minus their age, which was 16, and it gave them 204 beats per minute. Okay, that's their maximum heart rate. 204 is their maximum heart rate. We go to our step number 2. Step 2 is they took their resting heart rate. Okay, remember that first number and maximum heart rate, and they put it into an equation. You take your maximum heart rate, or in this person's situation, 204. Then they minus their resting heart rate, which was that 70 that they found, and then that gave them 134 beats per minute, okay, or their heart rate reserve. We take their heart rate reserve and we multiply it by 0.5. This is representing 50%, remember. So they take their heart rate reserve, which is 134, they multiply it by 0.5, 50%. And then they add their resting heart rate to it, which was 70. That equals 137 beats per minute. This is his target heart rate. 137 is the target heart rate. Now look at step number 4. The equations are almost identical. The only thing that is different is in step 3, we're multiplying it by 0.5, 50%. And in step 4, we're multiplying it by 0.8, 80%. Okay, representing 80%. What this means is you want to be working out in a range between 50% to 80%. And it all depends on your fitness level. Okay, so this individual here at 50%, their beats per minute is 137. When they're at 80%, their beats per minute are 177. So when this person is working out, they want their heart rate in between 137 to 177. This is their target heart rate zone. This is where they want to be. It depends on your current fitness level. For example, say you haven't been working out, so you have a low fitness level, you're not used to working out, you're not where you want to be right now. So you want to be at closer to the 137 when you're working out, at least at 137, but closer to 137 beats per minute. Say you've been working out for weeks, you're getting stronger, you have better endurance. You want to be closer to the 80% or the 177 beats per minute. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. You want to be in that zone. Now, how do we know if we're in that zone? We exercise, we do our workout, and the best way, they have monitors that you can purchase and buy, but if you don't have them, it is not a big deal. You work out, and immediately after, you can't take a break, no rest, immediately after, you have your clock or watch, and you do your heart rate again. You take your 2 fingers, you watch 15 seconds on your clock, and you see how many times your heart beats during that 15 seconds. At that point, you multiply it by 4 again. That's going to give you your number. That's your target heart rate that you were working out in your exercise. You're going to get that number and you're going to look at your numbers that you should be at and see where you are. At that point, you're going to say, hey, you know what? I need to work out harder to get closer to my target heart rate zone that from this person's individual numbers is 137 to 177. Okay, so that's how you find it immediately after you work out. It has to be immediately after, else you're not going to find it. Okay. The reason we want to know our target heart rate and the zone between 50 and 80% is because you want to have your heart in this zone for the entire aerobic exercise. So you should be exercising with this target heart rate for 30 minutes is what this class requires. This is where you want your heart to be. Okay? And if you're in this zone, it increases your health benefits and it increases the rate at which you burn calories. So it's super important to have that. Go through these again. Hopefully you worked through them as I taught. If you have any additional questions, come to me and we will work through it. Thank you.